So here's the thing. Black men have taken over, right? And I am overjoyed that they have fully, utterly, and wholly made their mark and representation when it comes to the Met Gala. It excites me to no end. So let's just dive in. Samuel Hines, writer for GQ magazine, is correct when he says that menswear oftentimes takes a +1 approach when it comes to the Met Gala. It's usually all about the women. But this year, on that first Monday in May of 2025, the tides, they will change.
I never planned this far in advance, but I'm geared up for this one. This one feels very exciting, very special. It's an honor to be a part of this one just by being there. And I know I can come because my guy's on the little board, so I could get in with him.
I reached out to Colman yesterday. I said, I can't wait to see what you're going to wear. I'm sure there will be some changes. He said, we're already working on at least 5.
And that theme, girl?
Yeah,
oh,
I think that's
my.
Let's start from the top. Co-chaired by A$AP Rocky, Colman Domingo, Pharrell Williams, Lewis Hamilton, and then honorary champion LeBron James, sets the standard really high, the bar really high for representation amongst the Black community, but also the style and aesthetic that's going to be presented as well.
Art and fashion, I mean, particularly fashion for me, has been like air in your lungs. It's very much a mood because it swings every day and it's an evolution. It's something that's constantly evolving. But for me, to be able to express myself in the way I look and have confidence, historically, Black people would wear it as protection, but over time you learn how to express yourself and show up with dignity and courage.
Anna Wintour asked me, and she was very excited to really share with me the theme of it as well, and thought it would be very history-making. And I guess folks have been looking at me in recent years as being someone who, and I think it's not just about style, who has a lot of style, but I feel like it's about how I carry that style and the impact that it can have.
Now let's talk theme, right? I'm about to nerd out. The theme is Superfine, Tailoring Black Style. Let me read it so I can get it right. Superfine will examine the understudied yet deeply relevant figure of the Black dandy and how Black men have used clothing, specifically formal clothing, to define themselves throughout history.
But what even is a Black dandy? Well, the term dandy originated in the Regency and Victorian eras of England, and it came to mean a man who took an extraordinary amount of investment in his appearance as a means of showcasing his status and or self-made success. But you've probably heard it in phrases like fine and dandy or Yankee Doodle dandy, which was a British way of referring to Americans who took up this aesthetic. So when it comes to the history of Black dandies, that European aspect is important to note because initially this aspect of dandyism was forced upon us. Wealthy enslavers would make the Africans that they trafficked dress a certain way to symbolize their own status. But all throughout this time, enslaved people, freedmen, and Black activists would simultaneously make investments in their own appearance as a form of autonomy and also progressing Black movements for abolition and liberation. And in every major era of Black history in the United States and Britain since the slave trade, Black men have continued to utilize dandyism in this way to push back against more stereotypical depictions of Black masculinity. But by now, Black dandyism has definitely taken up a life of its own and evolved into many different manifestations with different purposes all throughout the African diaspora.
So for the purposes of this video, we're going to call the entire gala Superfine. And so Superfine is a great opportunity to understand kind of how the Black dandies of their day and even of today, right, have made menswear what it is throughout history. Okay, there's an unmistakable thread when you look at what Black dandies have done in terms of how they've represented their style, their space, their fashion, their art, their creativity, and how it aligns with what menswear is current in today's society. Now, it's no secret that the Black man has been a culture savant and culture creator for the world at large, right? So let's set the stage with a couple of definitions. Let's define dandy, right? Dandy is a man who places a particular importance upon physical appearance, upon grooming, upon kind of having a refined language, being a man of culture when it comes to his leisurely hobbies, okay? A dandy is what we now say oftentimes a Renaissance man.
Started way back from the 20s, and we have icons like Duke Ellington, the composer, and contemporary designers today like Oswald Boateng, who showcases his bold, structured suits, and that's why dandyism is still going on today.
If you had to explain Black dandyism in one sentence, how would you put it in maximum 6 words? Bold. You don't even need 6 words.
No,
1 is enough.
We're going to see kind of some inroads into style from a historical perspective. And point of reference, this is the first time that the Met Institute has kind of used race completely in an exhibition. So it's groundbreaking. Now, Professor Monica L. Miller is a noted historian, especially as it relates to Black dandyism and the diasporic identity. And so she is the guest curator for this exhibition.
With guest curator Monica Miller, we're extremely excited to introduce the Costume Institute Spring 2025 exhibition. The show is inspired by Monica's 2009 book, Slaves to Fashion, Black Dandyism and the Styling of Black Diasporic Identity.
My book and research explores the cultural history of the Black dandy, from the concept's historical origins to his emergence during the 18th century and his contemporary incarnations.
In recent years, we've witnessed somewhat of a renaissance in menswear, spurred on by both established and emerging designers, as well as prominent men of style who've been more willing to take risks with their self-presentation. The show will explore the Black dandy as both a concept and an identity signifier. Monica's research invites us to examine men's fashion not only in terms of race, but also in terms of class, gender, and sexuality.
The text that guides it says that dandyism has long served as a vehicle through which one can manipulate the relationship between clothing, identity, and power. The history of Black dandyism illustrates how Black people have transformed from being enslaved and stylized as luxury items acquired like any other signifier of wealth and status to autonomous, self-fashioning individuals who are global trendsetters.
Historically, the term dandy was used to describe someone, often a man, who was extremely devoted to aesthetics and approached it as a lifestyle. Dandyism has been used to think positively about Black people, their ambitions and aspirations, and negatively about those very same aspirations. It was imposed on Black men in Europe during the 1700s as the Atlantic slave trade created a trend in fashionably dressed or dandified servants. Free and enslaved Black people came to understand the power of clothing and style in signaling hierarchies of race, class, and gender. Over time, dandyism gave Black men and women an opportunity to use clothing, gesture, irony, and wit to transform their identities and imagine new ways of embodying political and social possibilities.
Hey, we popping collars, man. Global trendsetters, because you know that we've always been that. In fact, we've been the metronome that has measured culture as well as created.
When it comes to Black context, dandyism has always been a way of engaging with power structures. Throughout history, Black men have used fashion not just as a form of self-expression, but also as a statement of freedom, power, and defiance. Black dandyism has always been about challenging the status quo by blending resistance and creativity.
So we're going to see 30 or so contemporary pieces from Black designers across the world. And the confirmed ones are Wells Bonner, Pharrell Williams, Virgil, Olivier Rousteing, Balmain, Fode Doumbouya of Labour in London. And, we're going to see, we're thinking that other brands such as Fear of God, Maritime Rose, Casely Hayford, Bianca Saunders, and others are probably on the list. Black dandyism is a cultural phenomenon that has existed for centuries, right? Characterized by sharp dressing and self-assurance and individuality within Black communities. In fact, the writer of the book Dandelion is quoted by saying, Black dandyism serves as a catalyst for contemporary Black identities to explore self-fashioning and expressions of neo-Victorian Blacks. Okay, the Black dandy looks highly tailored, which is the antithesis of today's trend of baggy wear, right? It kind of juxtaposes on that aesthetic, but it's not just the aesthetic that needs mentioning. It's everything that comes with it. It's what many authors are regarding as flamboyant. I know that it's taken on a different term in contemporary society, but it was someone who was very, very provocative in their dress with the loud colors, yet the fine tailoring, right?
Black men have always used distinctive fashion to announce their presence and challenge societal norms, especially the hyper-masculine tropes associated with black men. And let's be real, today's fashion is driven by black style, black artists and black designers, so this theme makes perfect sense. And considering the co-chairs are Lewis Hamilton, A$AP Rocky, Colman Domingo and Pharrell Williams, some of the most stylish men of our generation, the looks are going to be insane. I know there's going to be references to Virgil Abloh, but I really hope we also see some references to the Isley Brothers, Andre Leon Talley, more camp and fluid looks, Afrofuturism and some Harlem Renaissance inspired fashion.
So I'm excited to see how the Met is going to take such an important historical and cultural and fashion phenomenon and iconic experience, and how it kind of chart where it began and how it and to see how it where it is currently today. And so the red carpet, I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I would love to be in the face of the place, shameless plug, so that we can kind of understand what's going on. But I tell you, this is something to celebrate in the menswear world, in the fashion world, worldwide. Just like any other thing, we've dealt with discrimination and we've dealt with the erasure of our culture. And so having such an iconic international expression of our culture be at the forefront, shout out to y'all. So Met Gala 2025, I cannot wait.